was very successful. And when I say successful, I don't mean that in a financial way.
Yeah.
I mean it in like emotionally. It was a great thing to get back to doing this from the COVID situation that happened, and having um, the audience all show up for it, um, which is the other part of the success. We were very happy with that. That everybody came out to these shows, and it was some of the best shows that we've played. So we are really on a high right now from that. Yeah, Birmingham. It's like, well, the thing about Birmingham. I mean, I think every time that we've come over to play, we've always played Birmingham, of course. And Birmingham, for me, like when I was younger, I always looked to Birmingham as the place where Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, like those bands are from. It's like the heavy metal, uh, the land of metal.
Yeah.
So for us to start in Birmingham, that's the best place to start, I think. Absolutely. We're gonna, what we're trying to do, and the set changed about 3 times on this US run.
Yeah.
Um, we swap out this for another song, and then we swap out another song for another song. It's hard to play, uh, your 40 years in a hour and a half set or whatever it is. But we try. We really try and play the favorites, but also try and play some deeper cuts so that the people who are coming to hear those favorites, but also really want to hear a song like Keep It in the Family, which we haven't played in forever. We put that back in the set. And we really enjoy playing those old songs. And we put a new kind of twist on them too. Chuck made an appearance twice. He made an
Oh,
appearance in LA, and then he made an appearance in New York. And
cool.
when Chuck comes on stage with us, it's like an earthquake. His voice just vibrates, and it just it resonates in your bones.
Yeah.
He's just got such a great voice. It's like a Marshall cabinet in his voice. It does work really well. And that song in general was one of those songs that, man, we didn't know. We just loved it so much, and we wanted to do our version of it. And
Yeah.
like people really reacted to it in a good way. Trying to do it, like for instance, there may be some shows. Well, there is one show in December that both bands are on the festival, so
Oh,
I will play not the same day, but
yeah.
you know, the next day. So that uh, if it works out like that, that's great. Um, but you know, I don't want to say too much about the Pantera thing, but for me,
No.
it's a, it's a, um, it's a very emotional thing for me personally. And when when we first spoke about it, Philip and I, that was one of the first things I said to him was like, dude, this is a very emotional thing for me because I was such good friends with Vinny and Dime. And so for me, this is going to be one of those things where I have to represent them in this way. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
wouldn't want to see, I don't want to see anybody else up there doing it but me.
Yeah.
Daryl was like the fifth member of the band for a while.
Yeah.
He still is. Oh, pretty much every album cover, except for Fistful, is
Yeah.
one, I've pretty much designed or worked on. You know, it's a weird thing. Uh, as the album kind of takes shape musically and lyrically, all of a sudden I will get an idea in my head of what the cover should look like. And
Yeah.
it's so weird to me because that's how I am with like the songs too. Like I'll hear a song in my head already, and then I will have to get a guitar or something and put it on tape because I hear it and I have to get it down right away.
Yeah.
And then I love when that happens because of it comes from somewhere that I don't question it, but
Yeah.
when it comes, it's the greatest thing because it's like, wow, this was something that I didn't sit down and go, okay, I want to write a song like this.
Yeah.
It just comes, it's natural. It comes from somewhere. So, and I think a lot of other musicians will probably agree with me with like, well, those are the best things when it happens that way. It's so kind of supernatural. I love it. And then when you collaborate with artists, like Alex Ross did the last few covers for us, and Alex is a giant in the comic book world. I mean,
Yeah.
Alex's art is something that when you go to a museum and you just walk around and you stare at people's pieces of their art. That's the way I am with Alex. Like I just stare at them for like you know, it feels like hours, but yeah, he's just such a great illustrator and just such a great artist. So I was so happy that we got him to really um, marry the music with art. I started to go to art school, and
Mhm.
but I had to leave because the band was going to go on tour for the first time, and it was it was that decision right then and there. Do I continue, exploring my art, the capabilities of being an artist, or do I follow that dream of being, a rock and roller, and
Yeah.
I chose, the rock and roll lifestyle. But I could still do my art, which was the greatest thing because, and I always talk about this, how I would go up to the record company art departments and sit with them and really get an education on things, especially in a marketing sense. You get to uh, learn about which colors pop when
Yeah.
people walk. I mean, this is back in the day when people would walk into record stores or whatever, and you'd have the vinyl in the bin and stuff like that, and just certain things like that. I mean, I learned all about that type of stuff. So I was so happy that I can incorporate both music and art together in my career. But yeah, I mean, it's like I started drawing when I was a little kid, and I would always draw comic book characters. Um, and I was a big Mad Magazine fan. I always loved Mad Magazine, and it just grew from there. And fast forward many years later, when COVID hit, my girlfriend Carla, she she really was the one to get me to do it more and more. And she's like, we should do an art show. So that was she was basically like that was the catalyst, and I really worked on it and just found the love again of drawing. And that's basically how it all happened. And we did an art show and I loved it. And then people asked me about, oh, can I buy some of the prints? So that's how it just evolved. I would say that's a good thing, but everybody has an outlet. Everybody has the freedom to to explore. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Go play with other people. It could only help us, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's what it's all about, exploring, the musical landscape. If you do a project and it's completely different from an Anthrax type of project, and you learn something from it, and then you incorporate it into Anthrax, and it only makes it better,
Yeah.
well, then that to me is a great thing. I never understood why certain bands would be so closed-minded. No, you have to do only this, and then it was just always weird to me because if Scott and I didn't do like that SOD project many years ago, I don't know, maybe we wouldn't have. Maybe Anthrax wouldn't have evolved into what it was. Or I know other people were very influenced by that too. So sometimes you change the world without even knowing you're changing the world. And I don't mean that in a oh, we're going to save the world. I mean, as far as in a musical sense, uh, people hear certain things and it drives them uh, in a different way. Basically, it was the same thing, like the artwork. Um, when COVID first hit here in, I think it was like February, March,
Mhm.
things started to get uh, a little crazy, and that was about the time when I started to get a bit crazy, and I was glued to the television,
Yeah.
watching news and trying to understand and just trying to get a basic understanding of what is going on. Um, and then we hit the whole thing with the quarantining, and it was just me, my daughter, and Carla here, and I was losing my mind, and and again, Carla said to me, you need to stop watching this stuff. You need to go be creative, go play, go do something. And that's what I did. I started to create music again, and I
Yeah.
called up some friends. I said, hey, would you guys be into doing this with me? And they were like, yeah, because I knew they were going through the same thing I was. Um, and it started with a Rush song because I was still very sad about Neil Peart's passing,
Yeah.
and this was in a sense a very cathartic thing for me to do. Um, so I set up this electronic kit in the room upstairs, and it was kind of like the days of me being back home, coming home from school, going in my room and playing my drums, and I can only equate it to that. And we did a video, and I put it out there, and people loved it. And then I got, how did you do this? How are you doing this? And I created more of them, and I asked more friends to be a part of it. And before you knew it, before I knew it, I had a record, and people were asking me if they can buy these songs, and I decided to put it out, and that's how it happened. It was a very organic thing, like you said before. It was be it was it prevented me from losing my fucking mind. Yes, I love Newcastle because it's like I always equate music to certain cities or countries, and Newcastle to me is Brian Johnson, Venom, and Raven. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time, Charlie. It's been fantastic. Thanks very much, man.
Great, man. Have a good day.